This is problem 413B. During the first week of 2014, the payroll department of Omni Corporation is preparing the forms W-2 for distribution to its employees, along with their payroll checks on January 3rd. In this problem, you will complete 6 of the forms in order to gain some experience in recording the different kinds of information required. Assume each employee earned the same weekly salary for each of the 52 paydays in 2013. Using the following information obtained from the personnel and payroll records of the firm, complete copy A of the 6 forms W-2 reproduced on the following pages. Also complete the form W-3, which is basically the cover sheet that goes in for your W-2. The form is to be signed by the President, Frank Kent, and is prepared by Vince Roper. I don't know, Vince Roper sounds like a country singer to me. So, the company information is given, and my intention in going over showing these is just to highlight some of the more difficult numbers, because the solutions for these problems have been made available to you. So at this point, you should have those solutions open and the problem open in your book so that you can follow along. And I'm just going to highlight where some of the numbers came from. Some of the numbers that were probably a little harder to find. So, it says here the wage bracket method is used to determine federal income tax withholding. Calculate the annual federal income tax withheld by using the weekly wage bracket table and multiply the answer by 52. So you're responsible to calculate that, and this is just designed to give you some practice. And then the other taxes withheld are given. So the way this shows up, the lines don't really line up here. So this first number, 1343.16, is Social Security tax. Then this next number, 463.84, is your Medicare tax. This number here, 981.76, oops, right here is your state income tax, and this number here, 1256.32, is your local income tax. So that's how it is all the way throughout this problem on all these different employees. Actually, I just fixed it, so I spaced them out. All right, so we've got Randy Kellison, got his address here. He's single, 2 allowances, makes $615 a week, and the 401k deduction is $50 a week. So we'll start with the gross wages. The wages subject to Social Security would be the total 615 times 52 and weeks, and same for Medicare. However, what's taxable for federal income tax purposes is the total of $31,980 minus what was taken out for the 401k, and that's column in 12A. So you take the $50 times 52 weeks, and so that's $2,600. So that's what's subject to federal withholding. So when you calculate your federal withholding tax, you take the 615 minus the $50 for the 401k, gives you $565. Look that up on the table. Single 2 allowances, the tax is $48. Times that by 52 weeks, you get $24.96, and that's your federal income tax. All the rest of the information is given, and you just have to fill it out. Okay, our next employee is Vince Roper. Married, 3 allowances, $985 a week, he has a dependent care payment of $950 and a 401k of $70. So the total compensation that's going to be taxable is his $985 minus the $70 401k, $915. So $915 times 52. Social Security, all of it is subject. So it's the $985 times 52, and it's the same for the Medicare. The federal income tax is calculated on the $915. Go to the table. He was married with 3 allowances. The tax is $64 times 52 is $33.28. Dependent care benefits were given, but those show up in box 10, and box 12A is the $70 401k times 52. And all the rest of these were given. Notice the state wages are also the same as the Social Security and the Medicare wages. And that will be the case for all of these. Our next employee is Murray T. Rodson. Single, 0 allowances. Union dues withheld, $102. Murray is pretty much the easiest one so far. The all of it is taxable. His $565 should be times 52. It's the $29,380, and it's that way for all the Social Security and also the state. Federal income tax, when you go to the table and you look under single, 0 allowances, it's $70. Times that by 52 weeks, you get your $36.40, and all the rest of these numbers were given. So that was an easy one. Enjoy it because they get tougher. Next one is Frank Kent, married, 6 allowances. He's got cost of group term life insurance exceeding $50,000 is $262.75. And what this means is the coverage, whatever it costs for the coverage that's over $50,000 is $262.75 a month. And he doesn't have any income tax withheld on the insurance cost, but the FICA taxes are withheld. And he also contributes $100 a week to the 401k. So the place to start here is with the Social Security wages. And the calculation for that is the $1875 times 52 is $97,500 plus the cost of the group term life insurance. And we don't times that 262 by 52 because that's the annual amount. So that gets included in Social Security and Medicare. And then for the wages, you take the, for the federal income tax wages, you take the total wages, but you subtract the $5,200, which is his contribution of $100 times 52. That's to his 401k. And notice in box 12A, that is where you put the health insurance or the life insurance right there. And then the only other thing is the state wages are just the $1875 times 52. So the insurance is not covered as part of that. And as far as the federal income tax goes, you have to use the table A, which is the percentage method, because of the high amount of his earnings. And it details that along here, and I think it's just self-explanatory. If you follow this, you'll be able to see how they came up with that federal income tax. Bottom line, it's $160.38 per week, and then you times it by 52. Next one is Carly Christian. Married, 5 allowances, union dues withheld, 102. And that one's also pretty straightforward. So the gross wages are 480 times 52, and all of those are taxable. And then the union dues show up in box 14 of 102. And I just realized that on Murray Rodson, I forgot to point out that the union dues for his were also in box 14 for 102, so they belong to the same union. Last one is Zana Amelia, single, 1 allowance. Now she has an educational assistance payment, which her job requires that she take this education, and it's $675, and then that's for the year. And then she also makes a $50 a week contribution to the 401k. I just noticed I've got to go back to Carly Christian to point out that there was no federal income tax withheld because she didn't make enough. So Zana Amelia, Social Security wages are the full 490 times 52, and that's also for the state. The box 12A, $50 contribution times 52 is the 2,600, and that gets subtracted from the gross wages. So 25,480 minus the 2,600 gives you your box 1 wages. Federal income tax is based on 490 minus the 401k contribution, so 440. You look that up on the table. Single, 1 allowance. Tax is 41 times 52. You get your 2132. And the educational assistance is showing up in box 14, and you just have to write what it is in there, the description. When you send in your W-2 forms, you have to have a cover sheet. It's the W-3 transmittal, and you would check on this transmittal that you are a 941 payer, and you're not any of these, so you just put none apply. You have those 2 check marks. And then basically you just add up all the boxes for the W-2, so add up the total of box 1 and enter it here, and you do that for every single box. And then the the deferred compensation, that's the total of all of your 401ks. Dependent care benefits show up here, and then these are just all of the boxes as well. So some of these items don't show up here, like the educational assistance and other things. Those don't show up. There's not a box total for those. And then this needs to be signed by the company, somebody representing president, and then the date.